We all chased after him for an autograph. Tonight, he is chasing us to the doctor's office.
And I told Ray Miller that today was the day. And he kind of looked at me kind of in a shocked sort of way.
And the first time it happened, I was going, what are we doing? It's like middle of the game. What's happening?
At 65, Cal Ripken Jr. is opening up about some of the wildest rumors that have swirled around his name for decades. The legendary Baltimore Orioles shortstop, known as the Iron Man for playing in 2,032 consecutive games, has faced whispers about everything from alleged affairs to elaborate cover-ups. But the truth behind these stories is far different from what you might have heard. And recently, Ripken faced something far more real and dangerous than any gossip, a battle with cancer that forced him to confront his own mortality. Cal Ripken Jr. was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2020 at age 59. What makes his story remarkable is that he had zero symptoms. During a routine annual checkup, his doctor noticed his PSA blood test was moving slightly upward. Nothing alarming, but enough to raise a flag. For someone who built his entire career on toughness and playing through pain, Ripken admitted he initially tried to explain away the elevated numbers. Maybe it was from cycling too much, or perhaps a minor infection. Like many men, he was reluctant to dig deeper, but his doctor pushed him to see a urologist, Dr. Ronald Tutrone Jr. from Chesapeake Urology. Because Ripken was hesitant about jumping straight into a painful prostate biopsy, his doctor recommended an intermediate test called the ExoDx test. This simple urine analysis can assess the risk of high-grade prostate cancer without requiring invasive procedures. When the ExoDx results came back showing a high-risk profile, Ripken knew he had to move forward with the biopsy. The results confirmed the cancer, but here's the critical part. It was caught early. The cancer was localized and completely confined to his prostate gland. Before we dive deeper into his health journey, let me ask you this. What do you think about Cal Ripken's decision to speak publicly about his cancer diagnosis? Drop a comment below with your thoughts. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss more stories like this one. To understand why this diagnosis was so significant, you need to understand who Cal Ripken Jr. is. He's not just any baseball player. Born August 24th, 1960, Ripken built his entire reputation on an achievement that will likely never be matched. Starting on May 30th, 1982, he began a consecutive game streak that would ultimately reach 2,632 games, shattering Lou Gehrig's 56-year-old record of 2,130 games. To put this in perspective, if you combine the third and fourth longest consecutive game streaks in baseball history, they would still fall 118 games short of Ripken's total. Breaking the record in September 1995 came at a perfect time for baseball. The sport was still recovering from the devastating 1994 players' strike that had turned fans away in droves. Ripken's quiet, steady pursuit of the record gave baseball a positive story to rally around. The media portrayed him as a throwback to an earlier era, a symbol of hard work, reliability, and dedication. He became a Norman Rockwell painting come to life, representing traditional American values in a sport that many felt had lost its way, but maintaining that streak came at an enormous cost. Ripken played through injuries that would sideline most athletes today. The closest he ever came to missing a game happened on June 7th, 1993, during a bench-clearing brawl against the Seattle Mariners. Ripken rushed in from shortstop and got trapped beneath a pile of bodies, injuring his knee badly. Despite the pain, he finished the final 3 innings. The next morning, his knee was severely swollen and stiff as a board. He later said this was probably the closest he ever came to missing a game. As the streak continued, the pressure became overwhelming. The consecutive games record consumed nearly every aspect of his life, affecting his mental health, his performance, and his sense of self. The public and media obsession grew so intense that Ripken negotiated a special contract clause allowing him to travel and stay separately from the team on road trips. Fans tracked his every movement with walkie-talkies and would discover his hotel pseudonyms within hours. In one extreme case, 2 people jumped out from behind an ice machine in a hotel late at night just to get close to him. This created a strange dynamic. Ripken's commitment was celebrated as a moral virtue and old-school professionalism, but it also became an incredibly valuable commercial asset for the Orioles organization. The streak was worth billions in marketing, ticket sales, and goodwill. This led to public suspicion that the organization would do anything to keep the streak alive, even if it meant bending the rules. That suspicion exploded on August 10th, 1997. The Orioles were set to face the Seattle Mariners at Camden Yards. Ripken was extending his streak to 2,131 consecutive games. The highly anticipated game, featuring Cy Young Award winner Randy Johnson, was suddenly postponed. The official reason given was a partial electrical failure that caused serious lighting issues. After hours of deliberation, the sellout crowd was sent home. But that's not the story that spread like wildfire. According to one of the wildest conspiracy theories in sports history, the postponement was a deliberate cover cover-up to protect Ripken's streak. The rumor claimed that Ripken had come home to find his then-wife Kelly in bed with Hollywood actor Kevin Costner. A physical fight allegedly broke out, leaving Ripken unable to play. To save the streak, the theory went, the Orioles management faked an electrical outage by shutting off lights along the first base line. These allegations had been floating around online, but they exploded into the national conversation in 2001 when two sports radio hosts repeated the claims on air. The story had everything: a beloved sports hero, a Hollywood star, infidelity, violence, and institutional corruption. Except virtually none of it was true. Kevin Costner himself called into the radio show to deny the rumors. He stated clearly that he had only met Kelly Ripken twice for about 10 minutes total and had never been inside their house. He pointed out that if the story were true, there would be big money in selling it. The Orioles spokesperson John Maroon offered a much more mundane explanation. He suggested that the game cancellation was actually pushed by the visiting team. Mariners manager Lou Piniella and pitcher Randy Johnson, possibly after having a few drinks, preferred to cancel rather than wait for the electrical problem to be fixed. But the most damning evidence against the rumor is the timeline. The conspiracy theory was based on the idea that Ripken's marriage fell apart in 1997. In reality, Cal and Kelly Ripken did not separate until 2015, and their divorce was finalized on April 28, 2016. That's 19 years after the alleged incident. The couple had been married since 1987 and had 2 adult children. Kelly's attorney described her as a wonderful, faithful wife throughout the marriage. Some analysts believe the Costner rumor actually served a strategic purpose. Because the story was so extreme and easily debunked, it may have been used as a distraction from a more serious issue the organization wanted to keep quiet. Unsubstantiated claims suggest the Costner affair story was spread deliberately to draw attention away from a potential domestic crisis. The sensational lie was easier to deny than addressing the real institutional questions about whether the Orioles would fake an equipment failure to protect their most valuable asset. The divorce proceedings remained completely private. The case file was sealed and no reasons were ever disclosed. Following the split, Kelly focused on philanthropic work and promoting women's health at Johns Hopkins. 2 years later, in October 2018, Ripken quietly remarried. His new wife was Anne Arundel Circuit Court Judge Laura Kiesling, who now serves as administrative judge for the 5th Judicial Circuit. But while the Costner rumor was fiction, the cancer diagnosis in 2020 was terrifyingly real. Ripken underwent a successful robotic radical prostatectomy at Johns Hopkins. Dr. Mohammed Alaf served as the lead urologic surgeon. The surgery went smoothly, and pathology results confirmed the cancer was completely contained within the prostate. Ripken was declared cancer-free quickly. His recovery was so successful that his life immediately returned to exactly how it was before the diagnosis. This outcome was entirely due to early detection. The survival rate for prostate cancer caught at stage 1 is 99%. If diagnosed at stage 4, that number plummets to just 33%. Ripken credited his swift recovery partly to his second wife Laura, who encouraged him to proceed quickly with surgical removal rather than waiting and monitoring. Following his recovery, Ripken made a critical decision. Instead of keeping the cancer private, he chose to use his platform to help others. He became a leading spokesperson for prostate cancer awareness, partnering with organizations like Zero Prostate Cancer, where he served as the official mission speaker for their 2021 summit. He also works with the Johns Hopkins Brady Urological Institute. Ripken's message is clear: prostate cancer is often a silent killer. Many men have zero symptoms. He encourages men to overcome their reluctance to see doctors and get a simple PSA blood test during their annual checkup. If the results come back concerning, the next words from the doctor can be, "We caught it early," which makes all the difference. This transformation represents the ultimate evolution of the Iron Man persona. Ripken went from someone who played through pain at all costs to someone who advocates for preventative care and early intervention. He's using his legendary toughness to promote a different kind of strength, the courage to face your health head-on before symptoms appear. Since retiring from baseball in 2001, Ripken has built an impressive business empire. As president of Ripken Baseball, he oversees a major corporate entity focused on youth baseball experiences. This includes operating minor league teams like the Aberdeen Ironbirds and managing facilities like the Ripken Experience. These complexes provide professional-level competition for young players, including a partnership with ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex at Walt Disney World Resort. He also serves as a special advisor to MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred, helping guide strategies for youth programs. Philanthropy remains central to his identity. The Cal Ripken Sr. Foundation focuses on building character and teaching life lessons to at-risk youth. However, his post-baseball life hasn't been without controversy. In October 2018, his ownership entity filed a lawsuit against the city of Aberdeen over maintenance disputes at Ripken Stadium. Tufton argued the city was failing to perform necessary capital maintenance, risking the stadium's safety. The city countersued, claiming Tufton wasn't meeting its own maintenance obligations. After requesting a stay in May 2019, both sides reached a settlement in November 2019. The resolution used $1 million in state funding for stadium improvements, overseen by the Maryland Stadium Authority. This legal battle represented a shift in Ripken's public controversies, no longer focused on sensational gossip. The challenges became came about complex business disputes. Other issues arose too, like criticism over a delayed youth baseball academy in Sarasota, Florida. Ripken also successfully defended against a racial discrimination lawsuit in 2001, with a federal judge dismissing it as devoid of merit. At 65, Cal Ripken Jr.'s life tells a story about endurance, myth-making, and adaptation. The Iron Man persona was built on unmatched toughness, creating an almost robotic image of perfection. But that perfection created a hunger for scandal. The Kevin Costner rumor filled that void, even though it was completely false. The conspiracy theory's persistence reveals public skepticism about powerful sports organizations. Ripken's real legacy isn't defined by debunked rumors. It's defined by how he handled a genuine crisis with transparency and turned it into public service. By sharing his cancer journey, he transformed the Iron Man image from stubborn endurance into proactive health advocacy. He's teaching men that real strength means facing vulnerabilities and taking action. Cal Ripken Jr. has secured his legacy by using his platform to address mortality. He's showing that resilience isn't just about playing through pain, but preventing it. If you found this inspiring, hit that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment and let us know what you think. Thanks for watching.